Hello there, and welcome to episode 172 of the FlameFlash.net podcast. Our words are our own. Hi, bud. We have Nailfury on as well.
Huzzah!
Huzzah, indeed. I'm actually awake because we're recording this in the early afternoon of December 15th rather than the evening of last week. So hopefully I'll fully remain conscious for the entirety of it.
Awesome.
So we didn't get much game time this last week. We snuck in a little bit of World of Warcraft, and I know you've played some Marvel Rivals. Has that been about it?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's just been a busy week. And then,
it has.
other than that, I remember you asking me earlier in the week on a car ride to an appointment about Trump's birther plan. Did you have any additional questions about that or thoughts?
Um, I can't even remember what the. Oh, now I remember. Um, Not really. Um, However, I have been hearing some news about Trump saying he wants to make Canada America's 51st state.
I'm who said that?
Um, Not sure, but apparently Trump said he wants to do that.
Uh, that man hurts my logic circuits often and regularly. Oh. So, yeah, I haven't heard anything about that, and that would basically require, war and um annexation through uh through conquering. So, I don't really see that happening personally. Um
Oh yeah. Um, Apparently there's tariffs, tariff, the tariff drama going on between Trump and Canada.
Yeah, he seems to like threatening the whole tariff card, not realizing that the only people he actually hurts with tariffs are American citizens long term. It's just like what Harris was saying during the debates. Tariffs are simply a tax on American citizens for things that we don't make here. And
Yeah.
all those costs get passed down to us. So anybody that voted for Trump to get cheaper eggs, your eggs are only going to get more expensive. Or if not eggs, some other produce. Like we're in winter, so where in the world is most of our fresh produce coming from? Not the United States.
Yeah.
That involves tariffs. That involves, therefore, higher costs to the citizens because if he increases the tariffs, he increases the cost. Every major company, like grocery chain or big box store, has said, yeah, we're not eating any of that. We're just going to pass it down to the consumer. So
Yep.
we're the ones that are going to be eating it, both literally and figuratively. But to lightly go back to that birther comment, since nobody else was in the car with us, um, Trump, in various interviews, has been saying how he wants to remove the birthright citizenship. Now, I'm not exactly sure how that would work or what he's imagining there because that's constitutional. And he even admitted during those interviews, Yeah, I know that's constitutional, so it would take longer to pass than just a day one thing. But I can't, I don't understand what he's imagining there either, aside from removing the phrasing that says if you are born within United States territory, you are immediately a citizen. And so, therefore, it would fall to citizenship being anyone born to an American is then a citizen. So we'd be removing half of the rules of what makes a person an American citizen.
Huh.
So it would,
Something
yeah, go
um
ahead.
something I'm wondering is he wanting to remove it so then he has a excuse to um deport the children as well?
Precisely. And this would be, it would not be retroactive, however. So he would still have the problem of anyone born in the United States to a non US citizen, but is a citizen. He would be able to retroactively say, oh, well, if you were born on this, unless he managed to somehow get it constitutional, but I kind of doubt he would, it would be effective as of date X. So anybody born in the territory of the United States prior to that time and it being ratified would still become an immediate citizen. And we would have such a legal mess of proving, oh yeah, I was actually born now versus after. And it would be just this
Uh,
arbitrary date of suddenly, yeah, my parents were here illegally, but I was born to them in the United States, so therefore I'm a citizen. Oh, wait, it was at 12:01 on this date, so now I'm not a citizen. That kind of garbage.
uh, how lovely.
Yep. And then otherwise, Keela came to the comments. So hi Keela on last week's and had some good thoughts there, but it's just wild. Um, he, he's she points out how Trump is already kind of parading himself around as though he's been sworn in, which is just weird. Like going to the reopening of Notre Dame,
What was that?
like how
You cut out.
he went over to Notre Dame, France, and to the opening of Notre Dame,
Ah,
and then
seriously?
say what?
Seriously?
Yeah, which I mean,
Wow.
fine. I'm surprised they let him in since he's a felon, but to each their own. And then, of course, we have she's mentioning Syria. Have you heard anything about Syria?
No.
So, Syria just overthrew their government.
Oh,
Yep. So, they've been having a civil war for quite a while now, but with Israel stomping down on both the Iran backed Lebanon group and the group based in Gaza, the group that was in Syria being backed by Iran has basically lost its fuel. So that allowed the pendulum to swing in favor of these rebels who are also extremists and labeled as terrorists by the United States. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that country shakes out.
yeah.
But
Any idea why that place felt like they needed to overthrow their government?
well, the government already had been being propped up by Iran. Like
Ah,
there were outside forces on both sides of that conflict, and with Iran being weakened the way it is right now, with its other backed groups kind of falling behind, then this group against Iran's backed group and the government of the time was able to seize power and push forward.
gotcha.
I haven't done a lot of reading on that, so that's why I'm purposefully staying vague because I have the very heavy Cliff Notes version of what's happened over there.
Gotcha.
But you are you are doing a great job of leaving comments, Keela. So wherever you want to keep leaving comments, please continue. There on the YouTube posts is fine. Otherwise, sending me a direct message since you have that, or podcast at flameflash.net. It all works, so no worries. Or even a comment on the blog itself. But anything else coming to mind that you've heard, Bud? Otherwise, I mean, we can keep this one short. We're approaching Christmas, so and I am
Um,
tired otherwise.
well, I remember saying something about um Putin threatening nukes again.
Yes. And that goes back to him being cranky that we're allowing Ukraine to now, we and our allies are allowing Ukraine to use the artillery that we have already previously provided outside of their own borders. So it's they are allowed now to shoot into Russia, and Russia's getting angry about that.
Of course.
So if he's angry about it, how about coming to the negotiating table and cooling your jets a bit rather than just threatening that?
Yeah, no one wins a war.
Very true, bud. Very, very true.
Um, Something that made me think in social studies class, um, where we watch movies about history, is the Vietnam War.
Okay.
Um, didn't really learn too much about it because I was mainly focusing on how sad it is that there are lives lost on both sides.
Yeah.
Um, which also got me thinking, um, it feels like when it comes to war, it's just a game of chess for uh, the politicians or whatever they're called.
I remember seeing a meme about somebody calling out the fact that if all of the rank and file soldiers should just put down their arms, regardless of which side they're on, and march off the field, and what should happen instead is let all of these rich and powerful individuals do the fighting themselves because they're willing to throw away literal lives for whatever political gain or power gain, monetary gain happens to be going on.
I actually agree with that because Um, it it is a game of chess because soldiers are just the pawns for the rich and powerful.
Yep.
And it's not cool at all.
No, it's not. Like I'm not going to go too much into detail because it just released, but there's a really good new movie on Netflix called Carry On, and it's set in this Christmas season. But what we're talking about is hinted at as kind of the rich and powerful doing things behind the scenes to attempt to inspire other things to happen, to move all the pieces correctly so they get their way, kind of thing.
Mm.
But it's over on Netflix. Carry On. I quite enjoyed it. Um, so those that haven't seen it yet or see it there on Netflix, it's currently what is like on the big marquee as you log in advertisement. So it's a fun, worthwhile one, PG-13. But yeah. Any other thoughts though?
Um, yeah. Something I've been wondering about is um, what type of world would we have if there was no one in power and we were just all equal?
Well,
Still our own person, but also with equal rights and um, basically working together to achieve stuff.
very Marxism of you. Good job, bud. So what you're basically describing is the theoretical ideal of communism. So the fact that everyone is equal, everyone is working toward common goals, common betterment. It's also the utopia that we sometimes see referenced as far as humanity and the Federation in Star Trek.
Hmm.
And it's the fall of capitalism, but for us to be able to do something like that, we'd also need to remove greed from the equation.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there are too many people who have power crave more power.
Exactly. Like I don't know if you'll visit the book Animal Farm in school, but it's a great older fictional work, very political, but basically the animals overthrow and take over a farm and declare that everyone is equal, except some are more equal than others. And it eventually devolves to the ideal of communism, but the pigs happen to get super greedy and power hungry. And so it falls into, oh, well, we overthrew our original human dictators and those in power, but now because somebody needed to, help run the logistics of society, the pigs stepped into that role, and then they started manipulating the power that that role granted them until they were just as bad as the humans.
Huh.
It it's a neat thought experiment. It's a good fictional work. Um, I don't know if you'll visit it in high school or not, but it's written by George Orwell back in 19 something, 1950, 1945. It was originally published.
Oh, this is a bit off topic, but something I remember is there was a astronaut who said he wishes he could just pull every politician by the ear and send them up in the rocket and say, "Look at that," um, pointing at the Earth.
Just how minuscule and small we are when viewed from space. Exactly. We're
Yeah.
Why the
Um,
crap are we fighting amongst ourselves when we all share the same space? We should be working to try to make it better instead.
exactly. And I can't remember what he said, but he said something along the lines of when he was in space, um, it made him think war is immature and pathetic.
Makes sense. Everything that I've read of those that have been to space and looked down at the Earth, it's a life-changing, perspective-changing event from what I've read of interviews. So, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all that that individual would have that perspective at this point.
Yeah, because something I just wonder is it Earth's beauty from space or just everything about Earth?
It's probably just the whole you're literally stepping outside. So you're able to see just how tiny and fragile it looks from space. I'm drawing from other interviews I've read or heard about it too, but it's humbling.
I bet, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, do you think politicians would actually change their view if they actually saw Earth?
Some might, some wouldn't. It's that same issue of when you argue with somebody brainwashed into the Trump cult, for example. Some you might say just the right thing that opens their eyes to reality again, but unfortunately, most of the time they're sticking their fingers in their ear and just screaming at the top of their lungs, so they don't truly hear. They're not
Yeah,
they're not listening to understand or learn. They're listening to respond and argue.
yeah. Because the ones who believe Trump's words of he'll make the Ukraine Russia war stop on day one, um, honestly makes me feel disappointed because he would, there's no way you can stop it in day one.
Right.
it would have to take time and effort into negotiation. He can't just be like, "Hey, stop."
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if he did and they didn't stop, he'd probably give up immediately.
Or
But
threaten tariffs.
yeah,
But, your sibling that we were waiting on um, did just come out of the bathroom, and there's a new episode of what is it called again?
the amazing digital circus.
And for those that don't know, it is really amazing. It's a Patreon supported animation project, and they get the episodes out whenever they finish them, just whenever. There's no set schedule at all. They're not killing themselves over it. It's a passion project. It's a project of love, and it's a fun story. It's a fun time. It's on YouTube for free, and that was
And
the
also recently got added to Netflix too.
there you go. That's right. So, the Amazing Digital Circus. Just gonna do a little unpaid for advertising plug for that one, just because I can, and it's that good. So, unless there's something else more on your mind, Bud, should we get to that?
I can't think of anything else.
Cool. So, as a reminder, we're over at podcast at flameflash.net if anybody wants to write in or leave a comment on the blog, the YouTube video, wherever you happen to be, we'll get notified and we'll see you. Hi, Keela. So, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Live with honor.
Indeed.